We need the mural in the chat. So if you are online right now, I welcome you very much to the, I'm meeting some more people coming in. Welcome to, I think it's our 12th episode of the Wednesday Web Jam, if I'm not mistaken. And a lot of people are returning also to this session, which is great. I promise you a very chaotic hour, and I promise you that it's going to feel really fast again, way too fast than we should, because we only stick to 1 hour. But the program will be as follows. We are going to go in breakout groups. We're going to have a small assignment. We're going to talk about the assignment afterwards, and then I think if we are timing it right, we will be at the top of the hour, and we will go into our backstage, where we have 30 more minutes to kind of discuss for those of you who would like to hang with us backstage. But that will be at the top of the hour at 6. So when you are in Europe, at least.
Did you start already, Arne?
Yeah, I'm going to start now because I'm looking at the participants, whether there's enough people in to give it a go. All right, so in the chat, you have the mural, a link to mural. Don't do anything there yet. It's just that we want you to go there and be there because we're going to use it. It's one big space. It's just one big space. That's all. No worries, you're going to go into a breakout room where you're going to be assigned to a specific space. So room 1 will be for, breakout group 1, breakout group 2. So don't worry about that. The breakout room is sort of also correlates with the space on WhatsApp, on the mural app. Okay.
Let me start for you, because
yes,
there are also new participants today. This is the Wednesday Web Jam, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome in rainy Holland. A special welcome to my friends Robin and Razan. You have arrived at a place where we do experiments, and we like to do this together with design thinkers, but also non-thinkers, non-designers. And we want we help you to find answers in this online new life. And even better than that, not only answers, we try to trigger new questions leading to other kind of answers that help us move forward in this online new life. As Arne said, failing forward is our philosophy. There is just no other way. So share with us your thoughts, your dreams, your tears, and your laughters. Today, it's a special day for Arne. He will be our facilitator on his passionate topic. And for him, I have put on my high heels to match this guy. Okay, now you can take over, Arne.
Yeah, well, yeah. Isn't that the weird thing? If you meet someone in real life, usually the first thing people tell me is like, Jesus, you're tall. So we can't tell, because now I'm actually the same size as you are, Union. So, no, I'm Dutch, so I'm tall. Okay, thank you. Today we are going to talk about leadership, and as the title said, the evolution of leadership. So what is changing now? Because I would love to hear from you, because we want to keep this interactive. I'm not going to do any big presentation. We're going to use this hour to actually basically crowdsource your opinions. I think that leadership is something that we all experience. We are all leaders, but in a certain different contexts. But we are also experienced in being led, being followers. There's so many different leaders in our lives. So I would like to hear from you. What do you feel should change? What do you think should be sort of the skills of the leaders for the future going forward in this world that is increasingly complex? And I think if you look at what's happening at the moment with all the demonstrations and with this pandemic, and what's being happening with technology and artificial intelligence. Quantum computing is going to do stuff to us we have no clue about. So we are going into a future that is unknown, but we also know that we need to step up and we need to do something, to make this world a better place. And I'm not naive, so I think the system we're part of is strong. But I want to know, what kind of leaders do we actually need? What are the skills that that leader needs? What's the attitude, the mindset? What is it? What are the leaders that we need? We think, you think. So without further ado, I'm going to give you assignments, and you're going to get. So there's going to couple of things happening. One is we're going to first take a few minutes to kind of contemplate just individually. And it's going to be 5 minutes just thinking about, no, I make it 4 minutes because I talk too much already. 4 minutes to just contemplate what you think. And so take a pen and paper and just think for a few minutes about, what do you think, should change according to you with the leadership if you look towards the future. If you look towards what should change, what do you think is important? What are the skills that a new leader needs? So just a few minutes. What are the things that you admire in leaders? What are the things that you don't admire in leaders? I want to give you a little bit of a time to think about it before we start sharing. Now, after those 4 minutes, we're going to go in breakout groups. So on the chat, there is a link to a mural space. That mural space is going to be the sort of where everybody's going to work. Now, there's numbers of rooms. If we're going to divide you, depending on how many people are actually in, when I stop talking, and when we're going to put you into breakout rooms, we're going to divide you into these different rooms, and you get a separate task. The model or the framework we're going to use for our discussion is a book. So some of you are going to make a cover. So some of you are going to make the cover for the book. What should be on it? What should be, and we want you to visualize it. So that's one group. Then there's groups who are going to think about the index. So what are the chapters? What should, if you are going to write the book on leadership, on the future of leadership, what should be in that book? What should be those chapters? Another group is going to think about people. So who should we have in the book? Who are the inspirational people? Who are the people that you think like, yeah, but those people should kind of be heard, or they should, we really want to listen to these people. They have great advice. So there's a group, or I think two groups are going to work on the framework. So what is if you think about a framework for future leadership, you're going to develop it really quickly. Don't worry, it's just going to be a sketch. What is the framework for new leadership? Another group is going to work on the skills. What kind of skills do you actually need for going forward as a leader? What kind of attitude does another group? Attitude. What kind of attitude do you actually need to be a leader? And there's a group going to work on the back flap. So, if you have a book, there's always a little text on the back or on the inside. What should that say? The bestseller book on leadership that everybody should read. What should be on the back flap? So that's going to be a group as well. So, all right, we're going to talk about that a little more. Don't worry about that. I'm just going to give you it's just a heads up. Now, I'm going to give you 4 minutes in silence, just to kind of take a pen, take some paper, make some noise. Make some notes. Don't make noise. Make notes. Not noise. Make some notes on what leadership is. You can turn off your camera if you want. So people who have their camera off, they can turn them on if they want. 4 minutes.
Okay, 4 minutes. Starting now.
Yes.
Pedro, vira só pra fora assim. Pedro! Hey, easy!
How much time do we have, Yun? 40 seconds. All right. Okay. So slowly come out of your silent and solo work. We are going to put you randomly into breakout groups. We're going to, and because of the number of people, it's going to be 13 groups.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure, and like I said at the beginning, I promised a very chaotic hour. And so adding to the chaos is that we have 15, we have prepared 15 groups because we didn't know how many people would attend. And which is always kind of, because we see how many people sign up, but then usually half don't show up, which is an interesting fact, I think. So we can have 13 groups.
Yes.
But I want to make sure that group number 13, if you are in team number 13, you go to the last space on mural. You are number 13, so it has to be the back flap group. So we have, otherwise we don't have a back flap group. That's all I want. So number 13, if you're in group number 13, go to the back flap. You're writing the back flap. All right. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I want you, as a facilitator, this is my moment where I want to say, do you have any questions? But I'm not going to ask it. I'm just going to put you in the groups and I'm going to say, good luck. Your group correlates with a group, with a space on the mural. Go to the mural, look at the number of your group, go to the number on the mural. That's your assignment. We're going to give you 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Okay.
20 minutes. Okay. Is that good?
Yeah.
20 minutes.
I will keep
Go
the
ahead.
time for you guys, and I start creating the breakout rooms now.
Mural link is in the chat. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Some people are still there. Niels, you're getting a, are you getting a pop-up? Oh, yeah. Okay. It's just
Okay.
slow.
Yeah. Only hello, Runkle. Glad you made it.
Natalia, are you getting a prompt for to join a group or not? You good?
Mm-hmm. So every room has 4 persons. It's going very well. Yeah. Okay, I am going to put Runkle in number 3.
Okay.
Assign to breakdown 3.
So
okay.
There's a
and that's, yeah. So
who is UA2 22737? Are you with us? If you are, turn on your microphone or your.
Pedro's in his car.
Hey, Pedro.
Hello, Arne. Yes, this is Fahad.
Fahad. Hey, Fahad. Good to hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I signed on with the number, my employee ID number. I'm not sure why.
Yes. No worries, no worries. It's like there's a
That's
UA
very
thing.
awkward.
All right. Okay.
Thanks.
Do you have do you want to work in one of the groups?
Yes, please. I'm actually on the Mural platform, but I see
Oh,
lots
you are
of.
there. So
But I don't know
where
how
you
to
want to
zoom
go?
in or how to choose a group or which group I am.
Okay,
Yeah,
we can put you in a group if you because that didn't happen.
yeah, I tried to. Let me see. Runkle, are you already in your room? Yes, now he is. So I try to.
Next time I will sign in with my name, I promise.
Sis, could you tell me your name? I got it here. So I move you to number 12. Let's see whether that works. I will pop you in 13 and you can explain to them why you are there.
Yeah, and you are going to be working on the back flap of the book. So what should that say? What is the book about? Why is this the book you should read?
Yes,
maybe
yes.
some and New York Times recommendation or something.
Washington Post bestseller.
Yes. Why? Why is this the book about leadership you should read? All right.
Okay.
Cool. All right.
So everybody is working. And we have 16 minutes left. I could give everybody an end time at this moment.
Hij is nog steeds hier, hè?
Yeah, it takes really a few seconds before it happens, but I did assign.
Okay, yeah. So you're still here, but
so I can see.
First, they have to give you the okay in the US.
Yeah.
And then I think they check in China. Then they say, all right, you can join the.
But I permitted him to go.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. China
that's why you asked me to come into this crew.
Right. Yeah, it should go faster. I think it should go faster. We have China here, then it goes to the US, and then you have to kind of have, it's okay, but it takes a bit longer than it's supposed to take.
I can see your name is in room 13, but you have not arrived yet.
I'm posting a note. This is the first time I use Mural, so I'm not sure if I'm using it right.
Okay, maybe. Well, the mural shouldn't be, but you should be in the Zoom breakout group. That's what is not working. Oh. Okay, so this is sort of the general room, and so the idea was that we would actually have, because this is the part where we are live on YouTube, and it's not very interesting for the people who are live on YouTube, because all they see is, so all they see is two of the facilitators, and they see two names, or one name and a number. But Yunyan,
yes.
If you give me, and I know that's probably something that is way too spontaneous for me to ask, but
tell me.
What if you would create the title for the book, what would that title be?
So you gave the words evolving leadership, and if I think of a title. And when I think of leadership, join the conversation.
Yeah, you just stay with us. So
yeah, stay with us.
You stay with
us. Perhaps a word that should be in the title for me is following or serving or.
As a leader, you mean the book on leadership, at least in the title, should have something with serving.
Yeah, or the meaning of, so now it's your turn.
Yeah, fun. So if you are going to write a book about leadership, what would be sort of the title of that book? You know, what should be kind of the thing that you feel like that is what it's going to be about?
You're asking me, right?
Yes, I'm asking you.
Well, thank you. I'm thinking along your lines, what could represent, since you're talking about the future and leadership, so what could represent the next generation? It is clearly you are shaping up leadership, or leaders have to be shaped, I'm assuming, for the next generation, for the new tools, the new system, the new ways of business. So I'm thinking, well, the acronyms for generation, it's alpha, beta, theta. Maybe I'll call them one of these acronyms. I'll have it like the next generation of leaders, either leadership, not alpha leadership, some those green Greek letters that, yeah, something along those lines.
Why?
Because it connects generations, since you're talking about the future.
Yeah.
So one, and
But why do you feel it needs to connect generations?
because you're talking about, I feel, as it's my first time joining, and excuse my like narrow
No worries.
understanding of the topic, but what I feel your topic is you're trying to, because the new generation, the new leadership, the skills as we're experiencing now, so much change within in our environment and our ambient and our day-to-day, and I feel the future employee, leaders, directors, CEOs, they all have to adapt and to change into a new workforce, into a new style, into a new tools, filled with empathy, filled with collaboration. So all these new tools have to shape a new leader. And through this shaping, it's either adjustment of leadership or shaping of leadership. And I feel it's one of these two. I feel, it's the next generation of leadership. So.
And if you because to me leadership is sort of, you know, we take a lot of things for granted, you know, because it's a word and you say, oh, leadership, and we kind of all think that we are all kind of familiar with what leadership is and what it's oh great, you're sharing the screen. we all kind of think like, oh, leadership, that's basically a leader is in general, that could be like the boss or someone. It's the leader of the country. It's the leader of the company. It's the leader of the. But I would say we are all leaders within a certain context. So and I think the structure of organizations is changing. I think that, and it depends a little bit on, you know, which region, which country you are, obviously, but I think we see a shift not only for leadership in companies and organizations, but also for being sort of the employees, if you will, so the connection to work is changing. Also because of technology. I mean, see, for instance, with this whole COVID-19 pandemic, what we're seeing is that there's more and more sort of pressure on companies to use more technology to replace human beings, you know, to use artificial intelligence, to use et cetera, et cetera. So that's going to change the way kind of we are connected to a job, to work, and also how do these companies? I mean, that is the next generation of managers all IT people? Question mark. What are your thoughts there? What do you think? What do you see in your own environment, in your own what do you see?
You opened up honestly lots of interesting topics and changes of how the future leadership has to adapt and what the new jobs might be, what is going to be the jobs of the future, what might be like gone away or might still have. I have a golden question, and I think you've been asked this question 1 million times, but I always like to ask it and hear a different perspective. And it's a very basic question. Do you think leaders are born or are they made? And every time I ask this question, I get always different answers, different philosophies, and different books.
I wonder what your answer is actually. What is your answer? What is
oh, mine?
thought? Yeah.
Arne, no, Arne. Well, a bit of both. Like it can't be one or the, because they could be made and I would say born, but then not made, maybe shaped into a leader could be.
Yeah.
In what situations have you felt that you were a leader? So in what situations have you felt that you were a leader?
There's personal times and professional times at work when approached to take a decision on a big scale or either a small scale and things that required a further outlook within a year. So every time I've been asked to have a project outlook within a 2-year strategy, within a 3-year strategy, this is where I felt, okay, I'm empowered to have leadership on this specific topic. Maybe you can have specific leadership on specific projects. You could not be a leader, but you could have leadership skills or empowerment for some project. And I feel this, I'm in that position now.
How did you know that you were having or holding this leadership or shaping the leadership? How did you know?
It's a good question. I feel it from the responses of the people or their reaction when they either positive or negative. You know, when they come up to you, they compliment you, they're like, oh, nice thinking, what you thought of worked, or what you said actually made sense. Or also going down the line, if you predicted something, not to take that step, and then you go. So basically from the action of people and how I feel, and it's a mix and match, like there's no concrete answer to it. I get from the responses, I feed from the responses, and it's over time, it's not like something very.
What kind of words did the others use to mention it to you? What kind of words or behaviors?
A creative, imaginary, out of the box. Like I hear these kind of things, right? Stuff like I'm known to be in the workplace, the creative for the communication, the photography, the videos, the marketing. So I get like feedback if there's any communication or marketing, or like they come to me to ask first, is this okay? Something like that. So I sense some leadership in that. Albeit small on some scales, but although you get to feel.
I'm actually quite intrigued by the idea of, or question about, you know, is a leader born or is it shaped? I think that's really fascinating in a way that I wonder if we're born into anything, really. So there's this myth of the born leader, as there is this myth of these kind of wonder children, these amazing, like you know, like Mozart, you know, when he was, you know, before he was born, he was already writing, you know, his symphonic kind of, you know, the thing is that I feel that if you look at it, it's actually a lot of what that has a lot to do with where you're born into. So you're born into for instance, a family. So like Mozart was born into a family with a father who was a musician, who not only probably pushed him to practice, it's not the only, but also knew how to practice. So if you are born into a situation where you are being kind of trained is a bit harder, it doesn't need to be trained, but if you're being taught certain things, and the people around you, whether that's your parents or a coach or whatever, know how to kind of train you properly, you know, then you can learn things really quickly. But it's also perseverance. So then it's like going, all right, so I'm going to, like, you know, like Mozart, you know, playing whatever the keyboard, the piano or a clavecin, or so it's not just this. It's not just learning the skill or being pushed to learn a skill. It's knowing how to learn and doing it a lot, being totally bored and trying it, and doing it. This is with sports. You know, it's with everything that you kind of have to develop, because it's basically in your brain. It's the connection that you create. Now, I can imagine that there's some DNA thing there going on too. I don't know. I can imagine if you're born in a very create a family. Maybe there's also something of behavior in your DNA. I don't know. I don't have the knowledge, but there is specifically, certainly there is an environment you're born into that is going to help you. And leadership, I don't know. I think that's, so it's a book actually I wanted to show. I will go show it. I mean, here, this is a great book to read, by the way.
Okay.
I mean, if you read this, you're thinking, yeah, but so there are leaders, you know, and they were maybe really born into leadership, but they're crappy and they're really bad, and they, you know, they make everyone unhappy, and you know, so again, it's like, yeah, but what exactly do we mean with leadership? I mean, you know, what exactly do we mean? So I don't know. It's like, are you born into anything, really? You're shaped by your environment, that's for sure. So the people that I talk to, when kind of to discover, you know, what leadership skills are and how, but if you then look at how these people actually developed, they had some very important moments in their lives, really pivotal moments that shaped them. They had experiences that shaped them, but then they responded in a certain way to that moment. So it's, I don't know, you're shaped by environment, you're shaped by your childhood, you're shaped by the things that happen to you in your life. And then it depends on what do you do with those moments. What do you do? Do you step up? Do you see it as an opportunity, or do you, you know, if you just lie down and give up? So there's a, I don't know if that is, I don't know what that is. And there's chance, there's luck, there's, you know, there must be like born leaders out there that no one discovered. Like there's amazing musicians out there that can be, there are better guitar players than Jimi Hendrix ever was, but we never heard of that person because they didn't get discovered by a record company. Yeah. That's in my
Better
head.
than
It's
Jimi
like,
Hendrix, this is where I have to stand in. But I think it's a brilliant question by UA Flight 22 on a 737 United Airlines.
Thanks, Pedro.
So it's a very good question. There's research saying that in terms of how you behave, there's some of it that will come from your genes, or it's in there somehow. And it's been proven that boys versus girls, they do behave in a different way. And so it's not just behavior or society influencing. There's really something coming from the way you're wired, but also, of course, the environment around you will shape you. And I have no idea of research within this specific topic for leadership, but certainly I've seen research saying that leaders are very, very shaped by the environment, specifically by tough situations. So very hard situations will bring up some type of leadership. And perhaps a bad leader comes from easy situations and a good leader from some hard ones. No idea. But it's a wonderful question. Very, very good.
that's again, I mean, that'd be interesting to research, right? So but then again, what do we consider? Your definition of a good leader is also shaped by your context and your opinion and what you think is right and what is wrong. So it's not necessarily something that we all kind of will agree on, right? So I mean, you know, look at politics. I mean, people find a certain leader amazing, and other people find that exactly the same leader really crappy. So again, I think it depends on context, and it depends on your own agenda and what you want to achieve and the things that you feel are right and wrong. I'm looking at the mural, and there's the room number one is finally really doing stuff now. It's like, well, finally there's stuff happening. So hi, Jessica and Emanuela.
Oh, I just realized my mic is not on mute. Hi there.
Hi. That's good. You don't have to be mute.
Okay, everybody is coming back at this moment.
Hello.
And Pedro for answering the question, really insightful. And you.
Okay, Arne.
Hello. Okay, so you can still work on your mural if you want to. However, because we're going to be, we have a hard stop at the top of the hour, it was actually really cool looking at what was happening. First, nothing. There was a total silence, like, shh. And it was like, oh shit, they don't know what to do. And I think that's probably true. And then especially room number one, like in the last 1 minute, I think they were like, oh, we have, all of a sudden there was pictures and stuff. So we were like, oh, cool.
We ran out of time completely because we were discussing the ideas and then, oh my God, we need to do something.
Yeah, no,
That's very good. That's very good.
But if you're on the outside, you're like, where are they? They're gone. They're not doing it. I don't see their little. Okay, what we're going to do now, because room number one, you are actually first to get 1 minute because of time. We have 30 minutes in backstage. If you want to kind of talk more, that's fine. But for now, every group gets 1 minute to share sort of the core kind of idea or the kind of the most important thing that you talked about in your group. And we're going from left to, so we're going to read the book basically. We're going to go from the group number one, number two, three, etc. until we end up at the back flap. So we're going to start with room number one.
Arne,
so
I am going to share the mural. Maybe that is easy for the groups.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah. So if so number 2, 3, 4, all the groups can kind of mentally prepare and also think about who's going to speak up, because you're just going to get 1 minute to say sort of the one thing that you talked about that you felt is most important. Okay, group number one, who would like to kind of say a word or two about what you've done?
When you start, I use the timer.
Yeah, I can say something. The others can add if okay. So we, as we already established, we got kind of hooked up on thinking on the headline, and we were discussing that what our ideas about the leadership were, and we were talking about empathy and how important it is that the leader stands behind the team and has their back and is an enabler and motivator and has self-awareness and everything. But then we ended up having a title, Co-Creating Leadership. And that's the whole book idea now. We are co-creating the leadership here. And then we, in the last minute, we started to find some images that would match that. And we were thinking about, for example, colors mixing, everybody's adjectives, and we are pulling together. And so this was what we came up with. And we are, don't hire us for graphic designers, please.
I love the paint. That's very visual. That's a very beautiful image, actually. So yeah, awesome. Okay, Yunyan?
Yes.
Okay, room number 2. Who wants to say something about what you have been talking about and doing? And I see so maybe you can zoom into the little
yes,
scribbling things. Okay. So who wants to share something?
Michael will and add in. So we noticed as soon as we joined together, our own leadership was about looking at who and what is here. So we started by looking around, i.e., so what on earth is this supposed to look like? So for us, leadership, we can't remember the exact title, and none of us are experts at mural. So start where you are and look around. And we were trying to find images of humility. We had one of our team was in an artistic studio and had these beautiful pictures of a really loose focus, but then a zooming in to something smaller. So this whole idea of coming in and coming out. So leadership is not necessarily about having clarity, but having blurrity, the word we've just made up. Leadership feels like calm, warming embers. So there's no fire, but there's a warm glow. We talked about vision and intention.
Sorry, so the last thing you said?
Vision and intention.
Vision and intention. I love the blurity. Yeah. Cool. Okay, So
Okay.
if you want to add anything, so I see that Lority's added, add anything you still think is missing. We're going to kind of create a PDF of this and send it to you, so you can capture sort of all the things that that have been done and said. Lority, good work.
I'll try to
Number 3.
I'll try to take notes in the blue post-it notes on the 3x5s up in the corner somewhere as we go.
Okay.
Along.
Thank you.
Sorry, I missed group 1, but I'll go back.
Yeah. All right. Room number 3. Who would like to say a word or two?
We were both in group number 3. And I think what we discussed a little bit is that sometimes like leadership today, it's confused in big organizations, it's confused with management, and like that is badly confused with management. Like something is very different management versus real leadership. And that there's this lack of lack of feminine role models, and that are not imitating the male or masculine ways, that are actually representing a different way, or reinventing or generating this like new way of leadership that women are bringing without having to replicate masculine ways of leading, which are, I mean, it's very difficult to talk in these 2 ways, but most of that.
Yes, finish your sentence. Yeah, most of them.
Yeah, also about youth, and that different like younger generations also, and diverse and different like people that looks more like different ways, not only white female leaders, but also like people that looks different.
Yeah, awesome. That's a very very, you could talk for hours just about that topic, obviously. So these are the 3 covers of the book. So so if you are listening to the presentations, I would suggest to kind of look at patterns. Listen to the presentations and maybe write down some things that you noticed that people are, you know, the words they use, the similarities that you hear, or the differences that you hear. So see it as a sort of as an interview, a bit of research on what do people like to actually talk about, and what is similar and what is different. Okay, so be active and maybe make some notes on what you hear, because that'd be really nice to hear from you afterwards. Room number 4, who would like to say a few words?
I can share. So I feel like the titles that we came up with is the same as right now what we have to try to work in a breakout room, because in just 4 minutes, we have to quickly decide who is the leader or the boss, to communicate the right thing, to deliver impact that can show to others in a time of uncertainty. And yeah, so these are titles that come up with. Anything else to add from the team? So some of the how self-care and having the good qualities would help us to develop a legacy as well. And so we talk about the style, the communication, and the motivation to make it work.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
These are the titles that we have. How do you translate?
So other than the qualities, I think we also talked about what's the difference between a leader and a boss. So that is something, one chapter which we are trying to we focus on. That is very important to know as a leader. What is the difference between a leader? What is the difference between a boss? And what are the qualities they should have, which we mentioned in below. Other than that, I think we also mentioned how to get your right people, because you have your own vision, and translating those vision into action is a very important thing. And so you need to have the right people and communicating the right thing to them. These are few things I think we discussed about. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Room number 5. Who wants to say a few words for room number 5, which is also an index of chapters. Let's see if there's similarities or differences. Who wants to say something?
So I'll start maybe. So we started off with understanding the current system, and Ranko explained how we see it in a tribal leadership form, wherein community involvement is there. We then connected it with emergent leadership, or no leadership or no authority, wherein community-based participation is happening. And then we discussed about the traditional classic leadership versus the communities that are actually participating and growing. We also discussed about servant leadership, how the current format of leadership is more authoritative, and where actually the governments are supposed to be servants, whereas it's not happening. So we talked about intangibles, values, the authenticity and trust that's needed in the overall leadership. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much. All right, thank you. So as for just before, because of time, we have to move because we have 10 minutes to go. Room number 6. And by the way, I think what we've been doing now in 1 hour is like amazing with a group of people that don't even know each other that well. So it's like, whoa, you actually created. There is already like 1 or 2 books I would like to read just past that. So anyway, so room number 6, who would like to?
Okay, so I'm Andrew. I'll share for our group. So we did some brainstorming and then we clustered it into topics. So the first topic is around generations and diversity, and picking up themes like Greta Thunberg and activists in Hong Kong, young and old. Then the next general theme was visionaries, and there are 2 aspects to that: the kind of the skills they have for passion, fast thinkers, oral skills, mindfulness, but then also the types of vision they have. And a social entrepreneur like Bas van Abel came up. Another theme we've looked at was followership. So followership. So what do followers think of their leaders? And then linked to that, failures in leadership. And then we covered various topics and themes, like from different fields of knowledge. And there's quite a few there, as you can see.
Yeah,
thank you.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. So again, we're going to provide this as a PDF to all of you, right? So this is, we've captured it for you. All right. So room number 7, who would like to say a few words?
Yes, if I can go. I'm Fieke Sluis, and I was together with Mark and Bimbola and Anka in one group. We started mentioning people who we thought were great leaders all around the world and throughout history. And then we asked questions about leadership because we were inspired by the sentence above, like ants and bees. So not the old version of leadership, but like the new version of leadership. And we all have people close to us that lead us, but are not well-known leaders. So like the local leaders. So we came up with, we could maybe do interviews with primary school teachers, because they have a very extreme kind of leadership in their classroom. So, but also religious leaders, military leaders. So there are so many types of leaders that you can have a look at.
Cool.
And from the great global leaders to the local leaders, we came to inner leadership, like personal leadership, the real agency, the leader within you, that the passion, the things you thrive for. And then we zoomed out again, like it doesn't have to be individuals that lead. It could also be a movement, or it could be like a network that's very inspiring and empowers you to do great things. So we talked about distributed leadership, and then we really went into science fiction, like when what if the robots take over? What if the machines take over? And when the machines are going to program us instead of we program the machines. So what kind of leaders do we need? What kind of, well, artificial leaders maybe, but also who is going to interact and with us being half machine, half robot.
So
and how could we
it
lead
seems like
ourselves?
you have written the book, so that's awesome.
Well, I didn't do it myself. It's together with Mark and Anke and Bimbola.
Okay, stay in the backstage.
Yeah.
Stay in the backstage. Don't go away, Fieke.
Oh, I can't. I'm sorry, Yin.
Right, but thank you.
Another time.
Awesome. Okay, just because of time, group number 8. So you were kind of that's it. So there's now 2 groups that were challenged to create a model, and I would like to also see the visual difference between this group and the next group. And let's see if we. So who wants to have a word for group number 8? Group number 8.
I was inviting my team.
Your team?
Yeah. Well, I don't know because nobody's speaking, so.
Don't worry. Go ahead.
So we were talking about just well, not like a diagram, but discussing on the leadership, of course, on the skills, but also on what the leader should be seeking and wanting, because we came to a point in which, what if they are not wanting something good for the people? So then that's something we would not include. Things that are not being posted there is as well how they should connect with the outside. But everything starts with a part of self-awareness. So that's where we came, sort of. So we were like discussing a little bit. I don't know if that was like clear. That's it.
That's it. No worries.
Like team help, nobody came. No, next, room number 9.
Room number 9. I like the visual difference. I like to be in room number 8 because that's really messy, but that's because I am very messy. So that's very nice. Room number 9 is scary. That's like, how did you do that in the time that you had?
I think something, I didn't see that when we finished.
It's you, Martin.
No, it's not me. I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
It was B and would you like to show yourself?
Oh, you had a designer in the room.
Yes.
Yeah, probably we did.
You admit,
really cool.
Oh, that explains it.
I am a designer.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, so but we discussed really, and so we discussed the word charnera, which means like hinge. But I understood it in the beginning from the perspective of frontier or frontier. But the idea was, so we discussed leadership in terms of servant leadership, being able to be empathized, to co-create, to being part of the team. But then but there's also this paradox because, as a leader, you have a function. So you also have a function to.
Algo que sucedió esta semana con estos tickets que, o sea, con esta gente que estaba en waiting list, oigan, han liberado entradas, apúntense.
I don't know.
I don't know. What's this?
You can mute everyone, and then Marta can unmute himself.
Just muted everyone.
Okay,
so
great.
Go ahead,
Continue,
Martin.
Mute myself then. So we talked about the idea of these 2 kind of paradoxes. And but then we had the idea of a circle where you say, okay, so instead of a triangle you have a circle, and in the middle is the frontier, which I think is an interesting concept, but it became a very nice visual. So I hope someone understood this. No one, probably. No. Challenging.
Well, we can talk about it in the backstage.
No.
It's just basically being in between like being open-minded, listening to your peers, but also having to lead the pack, basically. Learning to balance in between.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, because of time, we're not gonna make it, damn it. Number 10.
Of course we're gonna make it.
Number 10.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the skills that we brought together, that we listed for leadership in a context where AI and everything that is digital and the Generation Z will be part of daily life. So the course, there are a lot of skills that leaders need, but first they need empathy. They need to understand. The community and the challenges they have. That they need to be able to adapt very quickly, and they need to be able to face ambiguity because everything changes. They need to be able to experiment, see what works, what doesn't, and they have to do everything with responsibility and focusing on the impact they have on the community and on the goals that they set. They have to have charisma and be able to inspire and teach others as well. And ultimately, they should be human. So although the entire world is digitalizing, let's say that they need to be human, vulnerable, and inspire. To be close to be able to understand and be close to the community in general.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Room number 11.
So what we did was that we listed the core competencies, the skills within 3 categories, as you can see. I think most of the conversation that we had was around looking at, let's say, soft skills, empathy, and looking at the way that people like leadership needs to manage and adapt to, to the new environment as one of the major topics, and also look at how they can bridge and all or they can bring together all these 3 competencies together, because we're not only looking at the professional side now, we also need to look at the personal side. So basically, club all of these points that we have as one. Maybe Howard would like to add to what Jim and Hannah added.
Yeah, and then the conversation went about how leaders should be servant leaders for autonomous initiatives to happen, and we were going around the discussion of holacracy, a purpose-led type of culture where the individuals underneath management just carry on the bigger vision, and the leader is there to support them around the 3 pillars, of course. Anybody else wants to chime in?
No, because there's no time.
You're out of time. You're out of time. So room number 12. Yeah.
Thank you, Howard.
We
Thank
are
you.
actually, so don't worry. We'll have a little bit more time to chat afterwards, but room number 12, we just have 2 more rooms to go, and then it's the end of the official program. So go ahead. Room number 12. Who wants to kind of
Yeah, I would be glad to elaborate a little bit on what we did. So there's like self-awareness in the left top. I think it's attitudes and skills that we combined in some way. So self-awareness, but making you to be calm, be inspiring, coaching, but also be at a position that fits you, that fits your drives also. We had things about leading collectively. So that was also connected to inclusive growth, which you see here. That's like, okay, can you lead with all kinds of different cultures? What's also connected here, we talked about, I think David added that to the conversation. We had a lot of things that had to do with empathy, non-violent communication, compassion, and even to like more detail on no blaming, foster safety, build trust, have faith in people. And we talked a little bit on the balance. So I just also heard it with the other group with the difficult word that they explained, but it's like the balance between the confidence, self-criticism, balance between knowing how to design things and at the same time be a people leader. So yeah, I think that's
Awesome.
kind of it.
Cool, thank you very much. Let's go. Room number 13, last, is that the last group? Yeah, it's the last group. Last group. And I think the last group went to the back flap part. So who was in the last group? Can someone, which is number 15.
I can speak if they don't want to speak.
Yes, please.
So we had me and 3 other girls, and so 2 of us is from we are from Brazil. So we end up talking more about bad leadership, what not to do. We had someone from Canada and from Rotterdam. So we had different perspectives of what we are experiencing, but we end up just throwing our ideas in a post-its. We wrote a cup of tea because I am located in England, so it just came to my head. Because I was thinking more like this book would be conversations with interesting people and all about sharing ideas, sharing different perspectives. But I think I will invite the other girls to speak as well.
Uh-oh.
Last word, someone final, maybe one word on the back flap from someone else.
I like that they wrote 9 things where you should focus.
Okay.
9 things.
Right. Okay. Because of time, and I think this is the first time we actually went over time, so my apologies. It's 5 minutes late. We have sort of this feel like we have to stop at the top of the hour if we say we stop. So we didn't. It's 5 minutes past, but that's because it was I so I took over the show, and then it goes all.
Yeah, you did. You did.
I'm sorry. I want to kind of first of all say we are going to spend a little bit more time in the backstage. The official program ends now. We're going to share. Obviously, this is being recorded, so everything that's been said, we will share with you. It is on YouTube. We are going to share this visual. You can spend some time, maybe tweak it a little bit if you want to. I think it's actually really interesting story. I think there's a lot of alignment. Some very inspirational bits and pieces, which I'm going to have to kind of digest. So thank you so much for being part of it. If you have to leave, you're free to go. I thank you. I love you. I think it's amazing that you take part in our experiment and helping us fail forward in public. As we did again. Thank you for your input and your inspiration. I'm going to read through all the things and all your little post-its. I am actually totally not hip and happening. I'm way too late creating a podcast on leadership. So this is going to be part of that as well. It's a bad idea, I know, but still I'm going to do it. We are going to be back in the backstage. So that's starting now. So this is backstage. yes, union backstage there. So
bye for those who have to go. Welcome in the backstage.
Yeah, we're backstage. So unmute yourself if you want to. You're free to talk or to say, what was that all about?
And I'm going to take a chair and sit down.
guys, I'm so impressed how you get such a nice dynamic group of people that interacts without any guidance. And I still believe no leadership is the new norm for the future, because this is amazing what you get to put together. I'm speaking with many groups, and it's so hard to get the interaction. I believe that it's just to have the group together with same
Oh, he's in Indonesia, now he's gone.
Oh, we lost you. You were saying nice things. So did you, who did that? Who did that?
He was the one who was going to say nice things. Now, who else?
We paid him.
Oh my goodness.
I know him a little bit. He says,
I hope his
he
voice
says
comes
he
back.
loves us. He wants to come back, and he stays up late for us because it is
it's
about
Indonesia, right?
midnight. Runkle,
Yeah,
we just lost you for a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah. Oh, sorry.
Repeat it. Repeat it.
No, don't worry. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. I agree. I really enjoy the group because of not just because of the interaction, but also the willingness to interact. Just the kind of the sort of the open mind and just go with the flow and that's actually really amazing because we don't know what we're doing. So, so it's awesome that you actually go along with us. I like I really enjoy, so we have a big group, so it's the time which is kind of difficult to manage. There's not enough time. I would love to kind of spend hours with you, talking about all the things that you wrote down, but still, I think, actually it surprises me what we actually achieved in just 1 hour. Just think about it. Just 1 hour, you created a blueprint for a really interesting book. Seriously, it's like, yeah, and there's so many ideas so for me to kind of, and yes, we're like-minded people, so it's not really a surprise. So it's maybe it's a bit preaching to the converted, but it is a bit, but there are a lot of things that I really, it helps, like, oh yeah, so I'm not crazy, see? So they also think this way. So I think that's what it does to me. So I love that, being part of that community. So and I think leadership is such an important topic that we need to talk about and think about and learn and develop to create a better future. So I think for me, that's sort of the next sort of level of where we need to go. And if you look around you, what's happening on this planet, we really, really need to think about leadership. So anyway, anyone else wants to share what went on and how this felt going into a mural and kind of creating this one thing in 1 hour?
Arne, I liked the process very much, and I think it was really helpful to have a framework. So you gave us each a topic to work on. So how did you come up with those topics? How did you choose the prompts for each page?
That's a good question. We just did, no, actually, well, yeah, actually that is true. That is actually the truth. But the other thing is that I am writing a book on leadership. So I have been thinking about it. So I didn't just appear. So but I liked the fact that we use it as a sort of a framework. It is, I have a background in both design and also in marketing and advertisement, and long time ago. And one of the things that I often did with clients was kind of creating, sort of giving them pencils and markers, and then create the ad for the idea, and just great. And then there was sort of a simple, because everybody reads books in this case, or everybody knows what an advertisement looks like. So it's very helpful to give people sort of a framework that is known. You're like, oh yeah, I know what a cover of a book looks like. So it's kind of a simple way of giving people tasks. And so we've done that before in our creative leadership program. The first thing we did is, what would be the book if you're going to write a book about it? What should it be? So I did practice it, but it is sort of in the team. We thought, okay, how many groups do we have, and how can we divide it and make it interesting? So it's kind of born out of a conversation, but I kind of and I wanted to kind of have like groups doing the same thing, like 3 covers. Be interesting to see, like, what are the differences? And so the experiment was, will it be very different? Will they also look at each other like, wait a minute, they're doing this, we're going to steal from them or not? I don't know. So yeah, that was it.
Okay, thank you. And yes, we did look at the
you
other
did?
team
Sorry.
doing our same topic, but late in the day, so it didn't affect too much what we did, but we were interested to see what was going on while they were doing it.
Right. Okay. Was that a positive thing?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting to see other ideas. They used icons, which I didn't see when we looked at it, so they must have added that very late. But I like that idea. I like having some visuals, not just the post-its.
Yeah, we had a discussion. And actually, I forgot to say that there's visuals and there's pictures you can download. We didn't say that you can actually browse. You can Mural actually allows you to look at to import pictures and stuff. But I was discussing this with when Pedro created the mural, and we talked about should we give each group sort of a different link, and because we don't want them to kind of influence each other, and I thought actually it would be nice to see the other groups work. So it was sort of we didn't, and I kind of like the fact that we would kind of literally create like a sketch for a book, and then and see if that actually aligns, and it's actually fascinating. It does.
I like having one product that we're all working on together, but each focused on a different bit. Anyway, other people should talk because I've been talking a bit.
Yeah. So well.
By the way, as always, we'll be sharing the link for this mural so that you can copy it and extract any ideas you want. So we'll be sending the link again in our next email, inviting you for the next session.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can save it as a PDF and all that, right? So
I had just an observation around using the tool. So I was challenged because I don't use the tool. And I think I got caught up in how to even do a post-it. It just felt like my time was spent, what do I do? I wasn't oriented to the tool. So it was hard to focus on the task. And then I just found that part, it prevented me from like freely just sharing. I'm trying to figure out like, what do I do? I was so not oriented at the tool. So that was definitely a challenge for me.
Sherry, thank you for sharing that with us. We were expecting that perhaps half of the people would be already coming from previous sessions, as it is usually the case. And that half will help the other half in using Mural, because we used it already a number of times. But welcome to the madness of Mural, yes.
Yeah, but it's interesting that one of the things that we have experienced in the web jam, because this is it's also for us the experiment on all these platforms and also using different platforms simultaneously. So we're in Zoom, and then we're using Zoom chat, and then we're having a Mural at the same time, and we are all kind of learning how to kind of use these tools. I mean, when we started, I've used the Mural before, but I never used Zoom like meetups like this. So that's part of why we're doing it, is also to allow people to play around and to learn. So you've learned a little bit more about Mural and maybe got interested in it, hopefully, and then play around. And next time it's going to be easier. So that's also part of why we're doing this. It's not just it's the content, obviously, to kind of trigger maybe something like, there's leadership, there's a topic, and I'll actually share a few books that I kind of think you could read if you're interested in kind of new kind of philosophies around leadership. But it's also the technology, which is our new normal, if you will. Sure. Right? So we have to figure out how to do and how to be comfortable with this and how to create human connections, and right.
Arne, since we have our community with us together again, I would like to share a question and see who wants to react to it. The question is, who has been feeling he or she's becoming a leader? Who feels he or she is becoming a leader?
I could, for example, maybe share here. I used to say always that I don't think that I want to be a leader, or that I have those kind of qualities enough that I would be a good leader. And I still have some challenges, but since I started to join these Wednesday web jams, I had a realization that my outcome to the leadership is that I'm a designer. I'm a service designer. So that is how I have been actually doing that for a long time, because when I facilitate a workshop or do a design process, I am leading something always.
Yes.
So now I'm kind of starting to use that outlook also to project management. And I recently received a new project that I'm managing now, and the project had already been running for a year, and I got a really good feedback on kind of taking control of the thing like it would be a design process. So
yeah, but a facilitator.
Revelation to me that as a designer I am leading by.
Well, if you are a facilitator, if facilitation, it's a leadership skill.
Yeah, but I never realized that before. I just was doing it, but I kind of didn't consider myself as doing leadership or being a leader.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very nice, beautiful.
That's also the problem with stereotypes, I think. So we have this, especially when it comes to ourselves, then when you ask yourself, are you a leader? Then you're suddenly going back to stereotypes. I don't fit that stereotype. But I think it really is important to think constantly about what is your role and what do you have to give as a function. And then it's not so difficult, I think.
And I felt there this, we were in a position to work with people we don't know with a very limited time. And me as well, never used mural before. And I had the chance to work with some of the most difficult things about leadership. In my case, there it's not having the total control. So you were not on control. We had to do something in a very limited time with unknown people, and that's it. Leadership, I think this as well. We have to accept there, not always. If I risk to say there many times, we are not in control. We are just guiding. We are an example, and that's okay. I think we must learn how to work on those situations.
Natalia, could you say something more about the situation that you felt this?
About not having control? About mural, because me as well, I don't know how to use the app.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit lost. Like our friend said, I don't know if I was lost paying attention on the girls, about the leadership, and use the post-it and everything. I think leadership is about this.
Thank you.
You know?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I love what Natalia said. I just want to add as well. I feel really happy to have leadership in action, because just knowing the people from the start and really getting a diverse perspective and bring forward to the same page, which is really challenging for us, I think, like, because we don't know how to use mural. We don't know how to put forward like what the good looks like, and all these things, just learn from the actions. It's super cool. Yeah. Thanks.
I think since I'm wearing my university professor hat more these days as opposed to visual designer, at the university level, I was a high school teacher also, and a high school teacher, I was more of a boss than a leader. But I'm finding in that university role, professor role, that it's really about, I think, becoming more of a facilitator and a mentor as opposed to actually bossing the students around. But I do find that my students, and whether they're at the sophomore level or the senior level, I kind of teach that level, that range. I think that it becomes a challenge to really encourage them to participate more more actively and see themselves as leaders as well. That's what I'm finding. So this was actually a really great session today for me. Thank you, as they all
You're
are.
welcome. You're welcome.
Harry.
Harry, you wanted to say something?
Yeah,
Who is
my
Mark's
observation.
brother?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
related.
I'm just like, hey.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my observation coming in from the outside is that leadership is being deconstructed through this process. And what I find empowering, not necessarily to me, but as a result, is that by taking away, by there not being a leader, that individuals contribute more, and the direction is discovered by the collective, and then the leader empowers that discovery. And I think that this process that we did today, which was way too fast and interesting, revealed to me, say, a list of qualities that would not have otherwise been found. So it was kind of a multiplying of possibilities. And so, yeah, that was it. I think that there's something in that. I also see this in the way the protests are happening around the world, is that they're happening because of a lack of leadership. And that's impressive to me.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Thank you, Harry. Good to see you.
I feel that I think all of us have a sense of leadership within us. I think it is the situation that brings it about. So whether it's in a workshop, whether it's just like in a Zoom call, or whether it's actually, let's say in a protest, that there's so many leaders that have come up. So I think the notion of leadership is really changing from what it was traditionally to what it is becoming now. I think that leadership is about individuality and bringing out that autonomous sense of like power, or like access to people. So I think it's kind of varied now.
Thank you, Anupa.
So before we go, I wanted to kind of share a few titles for if you're interested in reading some books about leadership, that at least there were a few books that inspired me. I think I've shared that before. So but there's a few books that I think that are kind of, they create a powerful kind of, or they take a very different angle to what I at least was used to when talking about leadership. One is a very old book, and I think we talked about being a servant. So that's Robert Greenleaf's very, I don't know if you probably know this one, but it's Servant Leadership by Robert Greenleaf. It's very old, so it's not really easy to read because something changed over time in how you write books, I think. So it's like but just read the first few chapters and you get the point. And it's nice because it puts you, it's basically also about his journey, about thinking about leadership, and it will take you on a journey. So it's actually inviting you to go to on a journey. Jimena, yes, the book club. Yes, there we go. All right. Then actually, well, this one it's great. It's actually, quantum leadership is something that to kind of think about. Quantum leadership, the way I understood that, so there's different books about quantum leadership, but it's this one is by Frederick Cowan and Chris Laszlo, Quantum Leadership. Basically, what it's saying is that you as a leader take care of different things at the same time. So your organization, the people in your organization, the communities the people of your organization actually come from, and also the future generations. So you're there all, that's all in your scope of, you have to take care of those things. So it's not short term. It's actually where sort of a traditional, say, Asian philosophy meets sort of a kind of Western, that's not literally true, but more than Western scientific way of thinking kind of merge. Quantum physics saying we're all connected through this one big source of energy, whereas traditional philosophy, Asian philosophy, and most religions say, yeah, duh, we've been saying that for centuries. Quantum physics says the same thing. Anyway, Anti-Fragile, I've talked about this. This is my favorite book, Anti-Fragile, read it. I'm not going to explain too many words. And the last, which is really interesting to read, I think we should read it. I think the cover number 3 mentioned this. Good book. Read this book. Right? Got it? Why do so many incompetent men become leaders and how to fix it? I think it is something we should talk about. Okay, that was my list of books. Oh, sorry. Last but not least, synchronicity, really important. Synchronicity. This is really important. Synchronicity, the whole concept of synchronicity. Again, going to this, we're all kind of connected. Leaders are there also to, how to put it, to be navigators and to do, actually sometimes observe and don't do anything, but understand sort of that you are also part of a wave. There's stuff going on, and you can, if you are only micromanaging and you're only working on your little tasks, you don't notice the bigger kind of patterns that are out there. So I think that's a leadership skill, also being sort of sensitive to things that are happening and being aware of that sometimes you have to kind of do nothing because you have to kind of observe and understand bigger patterns. So synchronicity, a little bit about that. It goes a little deeper than my few words. But synchronicity is, I think, to me, it was sort of an interesting kind of journey, learning more about leadership and future leadership. Okay, so anyone wants to say some final words for a last minute?
Or any last book you might want to recommend?
Or yeah, anyone else wants to kind of say, hey, another book you really should read? No.
One question, just Arne. I know.
Go ahead.
So you can. So it's about, sometimes I wonder how you educate the new leaders too, because you have this paradigm, and maybe some people can read your book, right, and how they can do leadership differently. But if today at school I'm being learned that I still have to obey, how can we get there too? Because then when do you start have to changing these paradigms, like way before than today?
Yeah. Oh, look at the time. So,
yeah, look at the time. For you.
Oh, it's a good. Like, are you going to do this to me every week? That like
I'm liking this. I'm liking this.
This question that are like yeah. So how? I give you one tip that at least I was given by someone else. And actually one of my mentors, if you will, is not here anymore. It's Michael, who was our guest last week, Michael Thorley. So it starts within yourself. It starts within you. It starts within, who are you? What shaped you? What were your pivotal moments in your life? What were the things that shaped you? And that is, and how is that now determining or shaping the way you behave or relate to others? If you want to create movement in others, it starts with creating movement within yourself first, and then you can create movement in others. So it's either, you can call it empathy, you can go, but one tip: write your origin story. Write your origin story. What happened to you when you were a child? What is your family? Who are your father and your mother? And how did all those things add up to what you are now and the way you behave and lead or want to lead or relate to others? That's I think I think that's the golden kind of tip I can give you, because that will tell you so much about you. And that's where it starts. It doesn't start with others. It starts within you, and it doesn't start with anybody telling you what to do, except what I just told you. That's something you should do. But otherwise, don't listen to anyone.
You had time. Thank you.
Yes. All right.
I feel synchronicity, Arne, that we have to let the people go.
Yes. Thank you.
No. Thank
We're
you
going to
all.
leave you. Thank you for hanging out with us in the backstage. Again,
Hope to see
lots
you
of love.
next week.
Yeah, take care, stay healthy,
Thank you.
stay safe.
And bring us stories. Bye-bye,
See you
everybody.
next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.